All right, let's move on to Mallory real quick. She says, under what circumstances should I consider renting my home instead of selling it? What's involved in that process?
So the home she currently owns.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So I would say, first of all, you're going to want to talk to a real estate professional and get an idea of what fair market rent is, right? Because if you can rent your home and cover your mortgage and cover your bills and actually make a little money, then it might make sense to rent your home. If you get an idea of the fair market rent and it's even below what your mortgage payment is, then it's not going to make sense. So I would start there. It's getting an understanding of what you could actually get in fair market rent for your home, because that might tip the hand one way or the other.
And there's two things to consider as well. So in the state of South Carolina, if you live in your house, you can apply to be an owner occupant at 4% tax. If you move out of that house or buy another house in the state or out of the state, your taxes will go up to the 6% rate, which is not a 2% difference, but almost quadruple difference. So that's why talking to a real estate agent, because you go, my payments right now $1,000, it could shoot up to $1,200 because your taxes going up. The other thing is, if you're in the city of Columbia, they have an ordinance that if you don't live within 45 miles, you have to pretty much hire or designate somebody to be that landlord-ish. So there's a couple things that go into that question. I also would say, and we both own rentals, they will never look the way they did when you lived there.
That's right.
So if you're going to do it to save money or make money and rent them out to pay down the mortgage, just expect expenses in every 3 to 5 years of painting and everything else, because tenants will never take care of the house the same way you did.
Right. Good question.
So Mallory also went on to ask, like, what's involved in that process of renting your house?
Oh, okay.
So I guess the question would be, do you need to hire a property manager, and what would they do to help?
Yeah. So I think first you've got to decide, can I handle managing the property myself, or do I want to hire a property management company? You know, I would say if you just have one property and you're going to live close by, you might want to try it yourself.
I would argue that. Yes.
But if you're like, I'm moving out of the country or out of the state and I just really don't have the hours in the day or the patience to do all this, then there are great property management companies, which we are also happy to make recommendations to you. They can handle everything from, you know, finding tenants, background checks, applications, you know, onboarding of the new tenants, moving the old tenants out. Now they're going to charge you a fee, right? But they can really make it very hands-off for you.
I would make one argument to that if you're going to rent your house instead of selling it because you're tight on your numbers, sometimes, after talking with us, it's a little more attractive and less expensive to take a little bit of a haircut on selling a house than renting it for the next 10 years just to try and pay down your mortgage because of all the fees and expenses that go into it. So that's where you got to weigh both options. But renting is always an option. I think it's a good option. It's always a good fail-safe.
That's right.
And I'm not just trying to talk myself into a sale.
Yeah.